Hello and welcome to yet another tier list video. This time we are ranking the most useless countries in the world. So here we have all the flags of the world. We have a bunch of different countries here. I think these are all the countries actually. And so we're going to put these on this list. And so the list goes from utterly useless down to useful. So we've got utterly useless, useless, neutral, and useful. So essentially the idea is, if a country contributes nothing real of value to the world and it's just more of a detriment than anything else, then we will put it in useless. And if the country is somewhere that I think has contributed very well to the world, we will put it down in useful. And obviously then we will have everything in between. First off, we're going to start with Iceland. I like Iceland. I have been there on holiday. It was one of my favorite places I've ever visited. But honestly, I have to put it in utterly useless. This is not a video where I'm ranking countries based on what I like and what I don't like. This is just based on the facts, folks. This is based on what has this country, what has this nation actually contributed to the international community. As far as Iceland goes, all they have really contributed is volcanoes and ash and travel disruptions. So I'm sorry, but it's a pain in the ass. Fermented shark? No thanks, I don't want that. There's nothing really that amazing that comes out of Iceland that makes it worthwhile. Yes, it's a beautiful place. Yes, it's fascinating to go visit. I loved it when I was there. It was, again, one of my favorite places I've ever been. But I think it's a pretty useless place. Next up, we have the United States of America. I'm going to put them in... I'm between neutral and useful. I think America, as much as it has a lot of faults, it has a lot going for it as well. They have a lot of things. I'm going to leave it in neutral. I started thinking about what have they given the world, and I was thinking about fast food and McDonald's, and you know, that is sort of good in taste terms, but as far as public health goes, they've actually put a damper on the world. They've actually done some bad things. So I'm going to leave America in neutral. I just had a look down for a second here, and there are some of these that are going to get a little bit controversial, as you'd expect in a Rag Reynolds video where I rank countries about anything. But yeah, we will get there. South Korea. South Korea is going in useless. Now, this is because, yes, they have contributed probably in a lot of ways to technology. They have a very good tech sort of society in South Korea. But K-pop? We have to deal with K-pop. And I feel like no matter what good things South Korea have given us, the K-pop puts a huge damper on it. If it was just K-pop, it would be utterly useless. But the fact that it's maybe got other things brings it down a little bit to useless instead of utterly useless. The K-pop, yeah, I mean, they just made music for mentally ill people. Is this Saudi Arabia? What has Saudi Arabia ever given the world? That is Saudi Arabia, right? I believe until recently they were the only country in the world where women couldn't drive at this point. I think they fixed that though. I feel like Saudi Arabia is a pretty useless country. They have like a lot of oil money, but do we really care? I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of Saudi Arabia. We're going to put them in utterly useless. I don't think they do anything good. I believe this is South Africa. I don't know of anything good that ever came from South Africa. Certainly not the accents. They are absolutely atrocious accents. I think it's going in utterly useless. I feel like this video might be, I'm starting to think that people who watch this are going to be so enraged. Like, this might even make people more mad than my videos calling people fake countries. Like, I'm saying this in the video and I still think people are going to be very, very mad. Because I'm being very sincere here. I think that these places are utterly, like, what have they contributed? I don't think very much. We'll go with Great Britain next. Now, Great Britain is a bit of a mixed bag. I think they're actually pretty useful. There is obviously, people have this issue because of the colonizing and all this, but if we're entirely honest about it, Great Britain has been home to so many amazing inventions that have changed the world. I mean, we take Scotland specifically. I mean, that's part of Great Britain. We just take Scotland. And I mean, we invented the telephone. We invented the television. I mean, there are so many things just in Scotland alone that basically shaped the modern world. And so I think there have been so many things we've given the world that have turned out to be useful, and I think any negatives you have to kind of just set aside, because the useful things we have given the world, I think they outweigh everything else. So yeah, we're going to do that. But I mean, if we're talking about like Wales, I don't know what Wales have ever contributed. I feel a little bit bad for Wales. I mean, that's a fake place anyway, so I probably shouldn't. But Wales probably haven't contributed much. And I mean, obviously Scotland's contributed way more than England. So, you know, if it was England, Scotland separate, maybe I'd start rating it a little bit different, but hey, it's just the British flag. Next up we have Norway, useless. Next up we have, this is the United States of America. What the hell is this thing? I don't know what that is. What is that? Did someone make that thing up? Some of these flags, I refuse to believe that they're real. Okay, this is Switzerland. I mean, I guess they've done something useful, because we just know that we know that little flag outside all the hospitals. Everyone knows that every doctor in the world comes from Switzerland. And you do know Switzerland and Sweden are the same place. Remember that. That's very important. And in that same way, we're going to have to put Sweden right next to Switzerland, because they are the same place. And they are the same place because they both start with a Swiss sound, and there's no other country in the world that starts with a Swiss sound. As you can see, there's no other country here that does start with a Swiss sound. Next up we have Brazil. And you know, I almost want to put Brazil more useless than I am, but I'm going to put it in useful, because Brazil is home to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's been home to a lot of many great fighters throughout the years. There's been a lot of like sports legends and stuff from Brazil. I think Brazil has been pretty useful in like some of the people that have been produced from there, and some of the culture and the arts and stuff. So I think Brazil can go in useful. Israel. That's going in utterly useless. What has Israel ever given the world? Seriously? Like, I can't name anything good that Israel's given the world, so we're putting them in utterly useless. And since we just did Israel, why don't we go fully into it here and do Palestine? And I'm going to put Palestine right next to Israel. That'll make everyone equally mad. Like, no matter who people side with and that sort of thing. I mean, that's going to make everyone equally mad, and I'm pretty happy about that. I'm pretty happy about just pissing everyone off. Japan. Japan's pretty useful. I think Japan have been very, very innovative with a lot of technology, a lot of culture. They've given a lot to the world. I mean, I don't eat sushi. I don't really like it. But even that's a big thing. They've given this huge culinary thing to the world. I think Japan has earned its place. Next up, we have New Zealand. What is New Zealand? I would love to put it in utterly useless, but I think I need to put it just in useless. And the reason I say that is because obviously the biggest thing New Zealand ever gave the world was the myth that Australia was a real place. And as much as I want to say that's kind of useless, it's not, because it has provided me a lot of thought, it has provided me a lot of focus in the past investigating that, so it has had some uses, I suppose. It's created a pretty interesting mythological place. So we'll put it in just useless rather than utterly useless. Next we have France, and as much as I would love to put France in utterly useless because of French people, I'm afraid I have to put France in useful. Unfortunately, I have to say nice things about France right now. I really hate that I have to say nice things about France, but that's just the way of the world sometimes. Sometimes you have to compliment the things that you don't like. And the fact is, folks, we have France to thank for lots of things. Delicious frog legs, French onion soup, French baguettes, some French wines. I mean, there are so many delicious things that come out of France, and I hate that. I hate that so many delicious things come out of France, because it means we have to give kudos to the French, and I hate giving kudos to the French. But sometimes you just have to do things you don't want to do, and I guess today that's one of those things. So next up we have Australia. This might shock people, but I'm not going to put it in utterly useless. I'm going to put it right next to useless with New Zealand, for the similar reasons as I put New Zealand in useless rather than utterly useless. It's given a lot of entertainment and stuff. I will admit there are wines I have drunk that are labelled as Australian. I guess they are New Zealand wines, but they're labelled Australian. Some Shirazes from the Barossa Valley. and I think they are pretty delicious. Some people will argue, but Australia made Wi-Fi. You wouldn't be on here right now if Australia wasn't there. And the reality of the matter is, folks, people are dumb because Wi-Fi is not what I'm using right now. Wi-Fi does not mean internet. They are two different things. Wi-Fi just means using the internet wirelessly. And even then, it doesn't mean just that. You can have mobile data outside. That's not Wi-Fi. That's a totally different system as well. So the only thing they invented was having Wi-Fi in your home, like wirelessly. You can still plug in a computer. So you can shut up about that. I get so many comments about that. That actually annoys me. Anyway, moving on. Germany. Germany. That's a very... I need to put Germany in useless, I think. Because if I put Germany above useless, that gets a little bit weird. Belgium. Belgian chocolate. Who cares? No one actually lives in Belgium. Belgium is utter, like, there is nothing cool in Belgium. Fuck Belgium. Italy. Italy is pretty useful, I suppose. They've got a lot of really nice food, wine, culture. I mean, imagine if Italy didn't exist. We would lose so many things. It would actually be very disappointing. There were so many things that have come out of Italy that I do appreciate. Jamaica. I'm kind of neutral on Jamaica, to be honest. I mean, I know like a lot of people love Jamaican cuisine. It's not. I was going to say it's not really my thing, but I don't actually think I've ever tasted it. It just doesn't appeal to me, I suppose. But I don't think it's got a lot of bad things coming out of it, to be fair. So we'll go with neutral for Jamaica. Poland. What have Poland ever given to the world? Long names that don't have vowels in them? Useless. I would put it in utterly useless, but one of my favorite authors is from Poland, so I can't put it in utterly useless. The Netherlands. They're pretty neutral. I think the Netherlands are pretty neutral. I don't know why they put a stop sign on here. Stop sign isn't a country, idiots. So we're just going to leave that off to the side. I saw India a second ago. Where did India go? I've lost India. How do I lose India? It was right in front of me. But is this supposed to be India? I know it has like that little circle thing, but it shouldn't be a block circle. Not like that. I don't see the real India. I guess this is India. It's a really bad version of India, but okay, we'll do this. India is a hard one because I have to put it in neutral. I would be very sad if India didn't exist because we wouldn't get Indian food. I love the clean version of Indian food that we get in the West. I love Indian food. It's probably my favorite cuisine, to be honest. I eat it all the time. I eat so much Indian food. I love a nice Madras curry. I love butter chicken. I love South Indian garlic. There's so many lovely Indian dishes I love. However, when I see Indian food in India, when I see the street food, when I see people visiting there and eating things, it makes me want to throw myself off of a bridge. It makes me wish I was in hell. Because honestly, that looks like hell on earth. I'm glad I'm not there and I will never go there. So I have to put it in neutral. I would like to put it in less than neutral because of the things I've seen. But I will put it in neutral simply because I have to appreciate the Indian cuisine that we have kind of stolen and adapted over in the West because I think it's lovely. Ukraine. What did we get out of Ukraine? Chernobyl. It was a pretty good TV show, to be honest. So I'll put it in neutral for that reason alone. Just because if Ukraine didn't exist, we wouldn't have gotten Chernobyl TV show. So my life would probably be slightly worse because I wouldn't have been able to watch that. So we'll go neutral. And hey, since we're at it, we'll go with Russia. I feel like I'm going to put Russia in neutral as well, right next to Ukraine. Obviously, Russia have been at the heart of a lot of conflicts throughout history. I'm not a fan of that. But they've got some beautiful, beautiful works of art, some amazing authors. One of my favorite authors, another one of my favorite authors is from Russia. So there is a lot to like from Russian culture and Russian tradition. So I do appreciate it, and I'll put it in neutral despite some of its flaws. Now, I believe this is North Korea. North Korea is utterly useless. I don't think North Korea has ever given anything important to the world, nothing that anyone cares about. And while I'm at it, I'm going to throw Canada in utterly useless as well. What has Canada ever given to the world? Bagged milk? Maple syrup? Who gives a shit? Finland. Finland's given nothing to the world either. You're going in utterly useless. Denmark. I'm putting Denmark in useless. I'm a little conflicted about them. They have been the cause of a lot of bacon shortages worldwide, which really annoys me, and that's why they go there rather than neutral. I'm watching you, Denmark, using bacon as currency. It's so selfish of you. Now, honestly, we're getting into some weird stuff at the moment. A lot of these flags that I'm looking at, I'm like, what the hell? Like, who designed these stop signs? I see Argentina here. I see Ireland. I see other things down here. But you know what? I don't think I care all that much. I feel like I've made the points I wanted to make. I feel like I've ranked some of the notable. Okay, let's do China. China, we're going to put in useful. And we're putting China in useful. They're very useful because, I mean, go around your house, look at items in your house, look at the bottom of them. You'll find made in China on probably 90% of the things you own. So yeah, if China wasn't around, you wouldn't own a lot of the things you own. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I see Mexico and I see a bunch of other places, but honestly, I've had enough. I don't care enough to rank any more of these. This video is long enough as it is. So we're leaving it at this. This is the important part of this tier list. So there you have it. The countries that are useless, utterly useless, neutral, and useful. And it has nothing to do with how much I like these countries, because if it was about how much I like them or dislike them, this would be a totally different ranking. I assure you of that. If you would like to do your own tier list, I will leave, as always, a link to this in the description down below. And be sure to tune into my next video for more education.